This video is titled the Magaya Explorer Overview, Part 2. We will show you maintenance folders and subfolders, selecting carriers, creating Waybill stock, creating forwarding agents, adding warehouse providers, creating customers and using contacts, creating vendors, creating salespersons and commissions, creating employees, adding or creating ports, countries, and lastly, an introduction to configuration. Let's begin by opening the maintenance folder by selecting the plus next to it or double-clicking. Select the carrier icon to begin to select your carriers. If you previously selected carriers in the Startup Wizard, they will appear here. All carriers, regardless of mode of transportation, are grouped here. To add a new carrier, select the Add button at the bottom of the toolbar. From the list, select the type of carrier you would like to add, either air, ocean, or land. Let's begin by adding an air carrier. Once we select air, the new dialog box appears. One important thing to note is all the steps we explain here will be used for creating all the different types of entities in Magaya. The only difference is there will be more or fewer tabs depending on the type of entity created. From here, we can go to the Airline tab and select the airline from the airline code or IATA code list. To do so, select the three dots to open the list. Once we do this, we get a complete list of all the preloaded carriers. To find your carrier, you can sort by name or code and then scroll through the list. You can also apply a filter by clicking on Filter, then Standard, and entering the full name or partial name. Once you find the carrier you would like to add, simply highlight them and select OK. Next, you can enter in the airline prefix. If you would like to predefine the flight numbers, you can do so here. You can even tell the system if it is a passenger flight. This will enable you to avoid loading cargo from unknown shippers on a passenger flight. You may also tell the system this is a passenger-only airline for the same purpose. Here, you can add your electronic stock or Waybill numbers. Simply select Add, then enter your starting number. Next, enter in the number of Waybills you were assigned, and then select OK. As you can see, the system will create the stock for you to be used later in shipments. Now let's return to the General tab, and you can complete all the other information such as phone number, fax number, email, your account number with the airline, and your contact's first and last name at the airline. If for some reason the airline was not in the IATA code list, you can manually create them here. A good habit to use when creating any type of entity in Magaya is to use the Verify Existence button. This will verify that this entity is not already entered into your system. Next, you can move to the next tab and enter in the address. Once completed, you can move to the Billing Address tab and do the same. If the billing address is the same, simply skip the step. Next, you can go to the Other Addresses tab and enter in multiple addresses if needed. For example, as I previously explained, this is the same dialog box that is used for a customer. Therefore, if we were creating a new customer now, and they had multiple addresses, we could create that here as well. But of course, in the customer section, not here. Let's assume our airline has another office in New York. we select the Add button. From here, we provide a description such as New York office. We can relate it to a port, but it is not required. Then we can enter in the rest of the information. Once completed, we select OK. Later on, when we use the carrier in a transaction, we can select from the multiple addresses in our database. Next is the Contacts tab. Any entity in Magaya can have multiple contacts. To create one, simply select Add, and you can enter in the person's name, email address, and phone number. Next is the Rates tab. Here you can enter in the rates you have negotiated with that carrier. Although this can be easily done with our rate management tool, let's demonstrate how to create one here easily. We begin by selecting Add. Next, we select the freight service class and we select the charge like air freight service cost. Next, we can select a commodity. This would normally not be used for air, but more often for ocean, if establishing rates by commodities, so we will skip this step. Next, we select the port of origin and our port of destination. We then select our method of transportation and then how we would like to apply the rate, by weight and then by the unit of measurement. For example, by volume, or pieces, or by container type, or by a calculated formula that you can customize to meet your needs. Let's assume we're going to use weight and pound. Next, we enter in our minimum and our first rate of $1. We can then enter in our weight breaks by selecting Add, and then entering in more than 45 pounds and then our rate. Our next break at 100 and the rate, and so on. As you can see, Magaya has fantastic flexibility for entering your rates. The benefit of doing this is once you are creating a shipment, the rate will automatically be applied, saving you time and speeding up your operations. You can repeat these steps for fuel surcharge and security as well. The next tab is a Contract tab. Here, you can put in the effective date of your rates and the expiration date and a contract number or amendment number. In the Notes section, you can enter in any notes you would like. The next tab is the Charges tab. We will skip this tab here and explain it when we create a customer instead. Next is the Payment Terms tab. Here you enter in the number of days you have before transactions are due, how you commonly pay this carrier, prepaid or collect, your credit limit with the carrier. By doing so, the system will alert you when you have reached your credit limit. If there is a parent entity, you can use this when you have multiple entities with the same name, yet you bill a main entity. This would apply more to a customer, where the customer may have offices around the world, which you provide services to, yet you bill one parent entity. Next, you can tell the system if it is TSA compliant and is a known shipper. This applies more to your customers as well. The next tab is the Attachments tab. Here you can scan directly into Magaya your rates or contracts to retrieve them easily. To do so, first you select your device and then scan. We cover this in a video called Adding Attachments and Scanning Directly to Magaya. If you simply have the file created and saved in your computer, you can simply select Add here to link the file. The next tab is the Notes tab. Here you can enter in any notes you would like, and the Internal Notes tab lets you enter in notes and keep a record of the date and time it was created and by whom in your company. Once you completed this, you can select OK. If you wanted a report of the rates for this carrier, you could select Actions, then Rates, and get a quick report. As you can see, Magaya builds a report quickly and easily. To create an ocean or land carrier, we repeat the same steps. However, when creating rates, we can select by container, and then we can define our container types and the rates by container. You can even enter in one container and commodity type to apply the rate in that fashion. Just a reminder, entering or creating rates can be done easily with our rate management tool. This tool allows you to import your contracts with ease and easily manage increases or GRIs. Next, let's create a forwarding agent. We select the forwarding agent icon, and then we select Add. We follow the same steps entering in the information as we did before. We go from top to bottom and then left to right on the tabs. We simply enter in the information we have and skip the ones that we do not or do not apply. One area we would skip is the Rates or Charges tab for an agent, as we typically do not charge an agent. One unique tab, however, for the agent is the Participation tab. Here we can predefine our profit split with our agent. For example, if we split 50-50 on the air freight, we select Add, then the charge air freight service. Next, we select how we split, either by percentage or flat value, an amount per weight, or volume or piece. As you can see, the system is very flexible. The benefit of predefining these relationships are, once you complete your shipment and run the liquidation process, the system will take the net profit from the expense to the carrier and the income to the clients and calculate the profit share based on the criteria you pre-established. If many charges were collected and the agent owes you money, the system will create an invoice to your agent. If the roles are reversed and many charges are prepaid and you owe your agent, then the system will create a credit memo to your agent. At the end of the month, you can liquidate credit memos against invoices and settle with your agent. The remaining tabs are the same as previously described, and you can enter in the information in the ones that pertain to your business and needs. To grant your agent access to track all their cargo online they are related to, you can select the Actions button and then allow tracking to set this up. This is covered in detail in our video titled How to Use Magaya Live Track. The next icon is for warehouse providers. Here, you would enter in warehouse providers you work with should you not have your own warehouse or use others for additional space. The important thing to note here is that if they use Magaya, you want to input their Magaya network ID here so you can communicate electronically from system to system. Your Magaya network ID can always be found at the bottom right of your system, and your warehouse provider can find his there as well. Next is the customer's entry. To create a new customer, we simply select Add. Here again, we enter in the information from top to bottom and then follow the tabs from left to right. One important note here is the Rates tab. Here you can input your selling rates to your clients as we previously explained for the carriers. The rates are entered in the same manner. However, with our rate management tool, you can take a carrier rate or multiple rates and then apply a flat fee or a percentage to mark up a rate and have that created as a standard rate for all of your customers or for a specific customer. If you choose a specific customer, then that rate you created will appear here in their profile. By doing this, the system automatically rates the shipment or the quotation, saving your employees time. The Charges tab is used to predefine charges as previously described. Let's assume we charge an Waybill documentation fee. We select Add, then the charge from the drop-down list. Next, we enter in the price. Next, we tell the system where we want the system to automatically create this charge for use. I will tell the system that for quotations and my export air house shipments and my import house shipments, I would like to create this charge. I do not need to select master in case of direct shipments. The system will intelligently know to place this on direct shipments as well. I can also tell the system not to show this in my documents. What this feature does is it will not show the charge on the area bill directly, only on the final invoice. The Modes of Transportation button lets me select which modes I would like to apply this to. For example, I could have a mode called Air Priority, and some of my charges could be a bit higher than my Air Standard mode. I can also create a charge based on a tariff. For example, I may charge a handling fee each time I handle cargo for a customer. So I can select Add, and then select the charge, and then select Tariff. Then I can apply by weight or any other value and unit of measure, and then define my charge as I did before for my carriers. For example, let's assume we charge 1 cent per pound with a 50-cent minimum and a maximum of $50. We select weight and then pound, then we enter in our minimum of 50 cents and then our maximum of $50. We then set our rate as 1 cent and select OK. Next, we tell the system where we would like to charge this, like quotations, pickup order, and so on. Next, we can define the payment terms and the credit limits. One important thing is by defining your credit limit, you can configure the system in Options, Configuration, How to treat limit overages. For example, you can tell the system, do not receive cargo if over the limit, do not accept bookings online, or do not release any cargo. You can customize this to meet your needs. Next, you can enter in the personal information for your customer, such as country of citizenship and date of birth. In the attachment section, you can attach or scan as previously mentioned, and the remaining tabs as previously described. Some important tips here are in the Actions tab. First is the Allow Web Track option, which is described in our video, How to Set Up and Use Magaya Live Track. This enables your customers to view the status of their cargo, images of their cargo, as well as the documents related to their cargo via your website in real time 24 hours a day. The next one is the Rates Report. Here, you can provide your customer with a list of all of their rates. Lastly, in the Actions button is the Statements option. This allows you to create multiple statements for all your clients or for just a particular client. The next entry is the Vendors icon. To create a vendor, simply select Add, and you can add the vendor. Vendors are all parties that are non-cargo related, such as the phone company, landlord, cell phone providers, and so on. The Salespersons entry is used to create your salesperson and any commission you have predefined with them per customer. If you do not have salespeople, you can skip this step. But if you do, you select the Add button. Then you enter in all the information, and in the Participation tab, you select Add. Next, you select the customer which you are going to pay them commission for, and then you create the commission structure the same way you did for your forwarding agent. You select Add, then you select the type of charge, next how you're going to calculate the commission, and lastly the amount. By doing so, if the customer is used in a shipment, the system will automatically create the accounts payable entry to the salesperson. The next entry is the contacts entry, which contains all your contacts from all your entities. In addition, you can add contacts here that are not any other type of entity you previously defined. For example, if your building has a maintenance person, you could add that person here and all their contact information. The next entry is the employees icon. Here you create and manage all your employees. From here you set up the employee names and passwords. We will cover this in detail in our video called Setting Up Employees and Permissions in Magaya. This video will show you how to create the employee and how to restrict access to certain parts of Magaya that you would like to. The next icon is our ports icon. Here is where you select the ports you commonly use, if you did not already do so in the Startup Wizard. To select a new port, select Add and then select Ports. On the left-hand side are the countries, and you can organize these alphabetically as well by clicking on the header. Once you select a country, the list of available ports in that country are displayed in the center. Here again, you can sort by code or name. If you double-click on a port, you can see if it is a maritime, rail, road, air, or other type of port. To close the window, select Cancel. To add the port to your list, simply select Add as you did before for the carriers. Once you add the port, you can also link the Schedule D code for domestic U.S. ports or the Schedule K code for foreign ports. This is necessary if you will be filing the SED or EEI through Magaya to AES Direct. To do this, simply double-click on the port you have added and the port dialog box will appear. Next, select the tab for U.S. Custom Codes. To link a Schedule D or K code, select the button you desire and you will get a list of codes. To filter the list, to find the code quicker, select the Filter button and then the Standard option. Enter in the information you would like to filter by. For example, for U.S. or Schedule D codes, enter in the city name and select OK or press Enter. The list will be filtered and you can then select from the list. To remove this filter, select Unfilter. Continue to do this for all your ports. If you're linking a Schedule K for a foreign port, one important tip is to first filter by the city name. If the port does not appear, then filter by the country name. It is not uncommon to find a Schedule K that will say All West Ports for Panama as an example. The next icon is the Countries icon. Here is a list of all the countries in the world. Lastly is the Configuration icon. This is the general configuration for the entire system, including measurement units, decimal points, document numbers, and much more. We will cover this in detail in our video called Using the Magaya Configuration Tool. This concludes our Magaya Overview Part 2.